Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Harakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of great most and well. Shalom to the brothers doing the work, necessary and truth. Just going to do a quick lesson going into essentially how, as far as, for the brothers, those within this word, within this truth, we've really had, we've been clued in as far as the realities, the wisdom, the understanding of, what's going on in this plane. As, if you're utilizing other channels, other methods, then, you're gonna wind up, confused, and things ain't gonna work out in your favor. Because as far as for like right now, the arbiter of that is really seen as Esau Edom, the so-called white man. He's the one who basically sets what reality is. What understanding of certain things are. If he says the sky is a certain color, everyone complies. And that's really what, he's got everyone thinking, but then when you go with the reality of like, it comes down to the truth. Because a lot of what Esau does is based off of denying the truth and manipulating it. But how's that wind up? People all confused. Babylon says, Babylon the Great, bring confusion. So I read this, 1 Corinthians 1:19, for it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Yeah, the wisdom of the so-called wise, there's people that are wise so-called in a worldly sense. And those are people that what Esau went for. He'll Lord to the heavens. You always have like Albert Einstein, what's that other guy, man? The gravity guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, man. But they'll essentially have their so-called, chief historical figures that research certain things in forms of science or psychology or whatever. And he'll give them honors, but that's just in a worldly sense. As far as that's, you're basically Esau trying to create a framework for his own system of understanding so that you can work around the scriptures. Because as far as when you deal with the scriptures, everything's contained within it. Your understanding, you can, like, if you want to know, what it's something as simple as, what they say the so-called meaning of life, you have to go to the scriptures for it. If you're a man, you're an Israelite man, that's what? Fear the Most High and keep His commandments. That's the whole true you man. Simple and plain. When you're dealing with Esau, there's people who die up in age with no answer. It says, verse 20, where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Have not the Most High made foolish the wisdom of this world? Yeah, the wisdom of the world is made foolish. Because as far as with all the people are upholding, these things it's all built on sand. Because when a lot of things, there are things that I remember growing up, the thing I always remember is them saying that by 2010, basically both the poles are going to be flooded. Most of the world, they said like only 20% of the world is still going to be above water level by 2010. And then by 2030, they said it's going to be a wrap. But then that quickly, like, whoa, we're still here and it's not water world, man. So obviously that was complete BS. But that's how Esau is. It's like there's a lot of things. There was a point in time when smoking was seen as healthy. But little they know afterwards it comes out it's a leading cause of lung cancer. So that's what does it tell you? All these things that are being put up as so-called wisdom, you can't even hold on to them when it comes to Esau. But people still what? They still trust him. Because he's got everything else to basically dress up as an image of, being correct, being true. It says, for after that, in the wisdom of the Most High, um, the world by wisdom knew not the Most High. It pleased the Most High by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. Yeah, so the Most High used what? The foolishness of preaching, something that's seen as completely just like idiotic for you to be out in the streets, you know, speaking to people, arguing with people, dispensing the truth. That's seen as something seen as foolish in worldly eyes, but that's where truth's coming out. Because it's not something where, you know, the platform is not because, you know, you're on a stage, you're in a certain location, you know, you've gone to Wembley, or you've gone to the O2, and then, you know, you're there, people are paying thousands of pounds to pay to see you. It's because why? Of the content. Because it's truth that's coming out. It says, for the Jews require a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. For we preach the anointed crucified, unto the Jews a stumbling block, and unto the Greeks foolishness. For unto them which are called both Jews and Greeks, he anointed the power of the Most High, and the wisdom of the Most High, because the foolishness of the Most High is wiser than men, and the weakness of the Most High is stronger than men. Yeah. So as far as what Esau's now he's basically creating whole networks of his own forms of wisdom that people can go and spend, you know, thousands of pounds to study, but it's still weaker than the wisdom of the Most High. It's still more foolish than the wisdom of the Most High. Because why? You know, you're utilizing that still hasn't let him avert judgment. But what really put this to mind was the article in the Daily Mail, which you read it and you just think like, like, how has this not been common sense? But it says, a natural ADHD cure. Teen girls who exercise every day exhibit better attention spans even without using drugs like Adderall. And then you think like how there's been like kids that have become addicts to prescription drugs because they've been used as what treatments for ADHD. They say, oh, you know, the only way to calm them down is taking this. Which when you deal with drugs, there's obviously money involved. So that's you know, one layer of the incentive. But then what? It's not even solving the key issue. Because it says what? Without even having to use it, just doing exercise, being active, then it's then you think about it like they're saying what? Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Why you make them have a more active lifestyle? Especially with how things have become from the onset of smartphones and tablets, where, especially for kids, people say it's like what they're parented by their iPhone or by their tablet. Because why? People, it's like you see people with kids, they have a kid in a buggy, they're just there with like it'll be like 18 months old, 2 years old, they're just sitting there with an iPhone. They ain't even, and this is when, you know, they might have not even, like, you go back 10, 20 years before when smartphones came about, you know, the kid will just be sitting there doing whatever. But now it's like what their minds are basically been wired onto one of the most, you know, something that's basically going to overburden their mind. It says, well, teen girls who exercise each day have better attention spans than their peers, the study suggests. A University of Illinois research team found that girls who exercise less were slower and less accurate on tests that involved ignoring distracting information. So yeah, it's basically a matter of you having to be active to keep your mind basically able to operate at a certain level. And that's something that anyone that's you know, they've worked out for a period of time, then stopped, they'll know that affects their minds. It's the same thing of like when, like the kind of environment you're staying in has an impact on your mind. But these things are now no longer common sense, because everything's the way Esau's new wisdom is everything sold with some form of treatment, some form of drug, some form of solution, where someone can get paid along the way, rather than just going to the simple things. this, 1 Timothy 6:20. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. Yeah, that's another of them sciences, falsely so called. Because when we're getting down to it, it's something that has a very simple solution. Where it's like, you think, wow, it used to be like, oh, they've got a lot of energy, you take a kid to the park, they'll run around, they'll do whatever, and then, they'll calm down, then they'll go to sleep or whatever. Same thing with like how you walk a dog. If you have a big dog, anyone tells them a big dog will tell you. If you don't take them out and get them exercise, they'll start losing their mind inside the house. But these are things that now, again, all these things have basically become like, for you to mention it, they'll say, nah, there's, okay, just take this pill, just whatever. If you were to say to a kid, to a doctor, be like, he doesn't want to sit down, he's got too much energy, they're going to prescribe something. Matthew 13:9 says, whoever ears to hear, let him hear. And the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. And that's how these things have become. Because now everyone's basically grown up in, and has basically been integrated into what? Esau's system. The system of the beast, where they're dealing with information based on how he wants to process. Where common sense things are now being thrown in the bin. But so for us to even know things as simple as that, now that's become what? It's basically limited knowledge, man. Only known to a few. And it's again something you try and tell people. A lot of them they'll just be like, nah. It's like someone will be like, oh, I've got a lot of headaches. But you ask them how much water they drink a day, and they'll tell you, oh, they don't drink water, they drink Coke Zero. And then you'll be wondering why they got headaches. They might have, someone will have status ailments, they might have dodgy joints or whatever. You ask them, how much exercise you do? The guy doesn't want exercise. And you're just like, damn, why you hit the first threshold of managing yourself before then going to other solutions. But this now has become something where it's if you talk about these things, it's people look at you like strange for you to say that. It's even like people be depressed, and you be like, oh, why don't you exercise? Why don't you change up your diet? Why don't you change up your lifestyle? And then they'll just be like, oh, nah. They'll be like, oh, if I could just do that, I'll do that. But then they'll be on pills or whatever, some prescription drug, just basically completely sapping them of how they can even function. But that's like the modern mindset now. Is there's some carnal solution, some pill, some treatment or whatever that's going to be the solution, rather than the simple things of how you're living your life. Same is similar with like cancer. People will be like, oh, they'll be like, why is everyone getting cancer? But then it's like you go back to, okay, what's the diet? What's the lifestyle like? Most people have terrible diets, terrible lifestyles. They're not active. They might live in a city where they don't even get fresh air. They don't even go into like some area where there's green. Isaiah 60:1, arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord Yahweh is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. So we're in a state where gross darkness is covering the people. By and large, most people are not clued into what's going on the planet Earth. A lot of people, you talk to them about the news, you talk to them about current events, you talk to them about various aspects of how the world's functioning, and they're not going to have any input or awareness. You'll mention things where that might have been reported every day for the last 2 weeks, and they wouldn't even know anything about it. The most they'll know is if there's been some viral post on social media about it. Otherwise, they're not clued in. And that's just on current events. What you do with any kind of form of information, then even less so are people informed. You might be taught, like you mentioned certain things in history, and then people are like, oh wow, that's interesting. Oh, you really like history. And I'm like, I don't know, well, I'm like, how you functioning in a society, knowing nothing about how things came together, so that you can kind of know why things function as they are. But that's because why? Now everyone's in a mindset where they're basically occupied mainly with what? With social media, forms of entertainment. They'll be able to tell you, there'll be reality TV shows. They'll be able to tell you what's going on in the last week in whatever reality TV shows running, whatever just released on Netflix. These are the things that they'll be informed about. But then any other forms of information, then it holds no value to them. It says, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people, but the Lord Yahweh shall rise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. Yes, upon those of the elect, essentially. Because why? They're going to be clued in. They're going to have the Spirit working with them to actually be able to deal with what's going on, to uncover things that are going down, get into certain bits of information. And, hey, be aware, man. Stay on top. And that's something that more and more is becoming a rarity. Because it's like when you talk to people from like prior generations, like someone now that's in their 50s or 60s, you might have a conversation with them and then you'll be able to talk about certain things, history, things that used to be like general knowledge. But now it's funny because they call it information age, and essentially with Google on a smartphone, you can answer any question you have at any point in time. But then because of that, things that people used to kind of just know as general knowledge, now is in general. Now people don't really clue themselves in about things, because they'll just think, oh, just look it up. And a lot of things people don't even look up. People ask questions, and I'm like, man, you got a smartphone in your pocket. You could actually find out the details of that if you wanted to. You don't. But it's because why? It's because it's the mindset. That's what shifted. Read this, Ephesians 5:15. It says, see that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. Yeah. Walk basically looking around, paying attention to what's going on. Not as fools. And that's how most people are looking. They're not paying attention. They're not giving weight to anything that's going down. And that's going to be to their detriment. It says, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Yeah. As far as walking around with no awareness, when things are going smoothly, it's not an issue. It's when troubles arise, when problems arise, that's when it becomes an issue. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. But yeah, say all praises to Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua, Hashem Haram Kadash, Shalom.